thanks for joining me. If you're new to my channel, thank you so much for clicking on this video. And if you're returning to my channel, thank you so much for all of your love and support. And let's get right into the video. So today I am doing the palette tag. I have seen a few people here on YouTube do this tag. The first video that I watched was Chelsie Gainey's. And then I also seen Gonz girl Demi do this tag as well. So I'm gonna link both of their videos down below. Be sure to check those out. It was kind of difficult for me to kind of pick which palettes to use because I don't have too many, but I did kind of gather a few up and they're all laid out right here in front of me. So let's get right into it. So the first one is your newest palette. And my newest palette is this one right here by the Color Workshop. It's called Hue. But this is what the palette looks like. I absolutely love the range of colors because over here it's more like everyday colors and over here it's more colorful. I actually won this from Jessica over at the Meets family when she did the 1,000 subscriber giveaway. This was part of my winnings and I'm so excited to use this. I haven't tried it just yet, but I absolutely love the range of colors. Next one is your oldest palette. So this is my oldest palette right here. It's this little eye wheel by Island Girl. And it's just a bunch of like really pretty like neutral brown shades. I think I got this back in 2006. So I was about 16 years old. So I've had this one for quite a while. I obviously haven't used it in a very long time, but I just couldn't get rid of it. It had so many good memories attached to it. I got this in Hawaii, so this is my oldest palette. The next one is your most expensive palette. And hands down, my most expensive palette is my Conspiracy palette. I had to have this one just because I was really excited with the docuseries when it came out. So I had to get this for Christmas, but I normally do not spend a lot of money on my eyeshadow palettes. This one I believe was like $60 maybe. This is what the shadows look like if you haven't seen this palette before. Normally I don't spend that much, but this one I was pretty excited about. So the next one is your most affordable palette. And I have a ton of eyeshadow palettes from the Dollar Tree, but I didn't know which one to really pick. So I decided to pick my most affordable palette that I didn't find at Dollar Tree. And that would be this one right here by Makeup Revolution. I really liked the colors in this palette and I've only used it once but they're very pigmented and I really like these shadows from Makeup Revolution. And I got it at TJ Maxx for $1.50, if you can read that there. So I think this one is my most affordable palette that didn't come from Dollar Tree. And the next one is your best everyday palette. And I would have to say it would be my Zodiac Love Signs by BH Cosmetics. And this palette is probably my favorite for everyday use because of these colors right here. I love wearing colors like that, like gold but kind of like brown tones. And I also really like how it has like a corresponding shimmer color with the matte shades. So this one is probably my favorite everyday palette just because it has a lot of the colors that I like to wear. The next one is your most colorful palette, and that would have to be my James Charles palette. It has a lot of really great neutral tones to it. What I like the most is the selection of all the colorful shades as well. So this, I would have to say, hands down, is my most colorful palette that I own. The next one is your smallest palette, and that would be this little quad from LA Colors. This was part of like the Decades kind of collection that they had going on, and this was from the 90s collection, and it's called Valley Girl. The reason why I picked this palette is not just because it's only 4 shades, but also because the size of the pan of the eyeshadow is pretty small as well. This was from Dollar Tree, so it was pretty affordable, but I think this is just a really cute little eyeshadow palette. It has a lot of really good neutral colors, and you can still come up with a whole look just using this one little palette. The next one is your biggest eyeshadow palette, and this is going to be a repeat, but my Morphe and James Charles palette is my largest palette that I own. I think the only one that's kind of close, that even comes close, would be the Love Signs palette, but as you can tell, this one is my largest palette. Best memory, it's going to be another repeat, but my palette with my favorite memories is this Island Girl palette. Got this eyeshadow palette in Hawaii. There was an ABC store that was right by our hotel, and me and my sister would walk over there while we were on vacation, and I remember picking this out because I used to wear a lot of like brown eyeshadow back then, and this palette just brings back so many good memories of that trip. And I'll always have this palette even though it's old and I can't use it. I'll never get rid of it because that trip was just so special to me. The next one is which palette was worth the hype. Now, I don't know if there was a lot of hype around this palette, but I know I was super excited for it, and it's the Morphe and Jeffree Star palette. I remember when Jeffree came out with the video showing this, I was really excited, and when I bought it, it actually did work just as well as I was hoping it would. So this is what all the shades look like. I love to use pink eyeshadow, but for today's look, I actually used the green ones down here at the bottom. They work really well. All the shadows, they blend really nicely, and this is just a really, really good palette, and I absolutely love the packaging. The next one is a palette that is not worth the hype, and it's not that I didn't like this palette, but the amount of trouble my husband had to go through to get this palette, I don't think it was worth it. And it is the Conspiracy palette. My husband was online launch day trying to get his hands on this for me for Christmas, and it was nuts. He had 2 cell phones, trying on both of them to get this, and it just wasn't working out. So it's not that I didn't like this palette, it's just that the amount of trouble my husband had to go through to get it, I don't know if it was really worth all the hassle. Next one is favorite brand. And I actually have about 3 palettes from this brand. So I'll show you my favorite of the 3. And it's this Disney designer collection from ColourPop. ColourPop is my absolute favorite brand of eyeshadow. And the reason why I liked this one so much was not only the packaging, but I really loved the colors that came with it. They were perfect for everyday use, but there was still like really pretty like shimmer shades to use to kind of make it more fun. So this is my favorite ColourPop palette that I have. And then the last one is my most used palette, which is another ColourPop one. And this was actually my first palette that I bought once I started to get like really into makeup. And it is the Cute AF Yes Please palette. And this one, I believe, was the first palette that ColourPop came out with. And then this is what the shades look like. This is definitely my most used. I don't have any palettes where I've hit pan, but this one you can kind of tell it's a little bit dipped in certain pans, because this one I use pretty much every day. I really love this palette a lot. So that was my eyeshadow palette tag, guys. I will leave all of the questions down below in the description box. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it to the end. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.